So hi, this is Deborah. I looked on YouTube and was surprised to see 500 hits on the garden video I made just so that I had a record of my garden before a hailstorm hit. And I really appreciate it. And so I'm trying to take to heart the suggestion I speak slower, and I will try to make this for other people and not just me. So what you're seeing there is City Hall that I also did the plants for, so I'm really proud of it. I bought the plants, but they install and care for them. And now you're looking at a wall they put up, some of their grass that they kind of made part of our yard, and my plants. This is the front view of our house. I'm going to give you time to look at things. It's not the optimal time. There never is. Everything in a garden is always either just bloomed or is about to bloom, but that's how it's designed. And what I'm going to do is make this a video where I don't talk much about individual plants. I'm going to keep it short and give you a chance to see the plants. If you're a friend, you might even not want to hear the sound. But for gardeners, what I'm going to do is give you some context on each of the beds. And then I'm going to make a very long video where we talk about individual plants. And so that's for someone who's interested in planting these things around their house. And so you're seeing City Hall's fence. They made a law that businesses needed to be fenced, and then they did it for me. But it wasn't where I thought it would be. That tree marks our property line. So I put the plants I had bought on their fence and then got more plants for them, and everybody's happy. And so I joke I'm the invasive gardener. I have gone from one property line, well, actually I go around all the way around City Hall where they got permission for some invasive vines with another homeowner, and I go all the way across the property line on the other side of my property, and we're going to walk over there, and of course I got permission to do that. So what you're seeing, these beds are for the most part only 2 years old, so they've been through the 2 mild winters. Where the bamboo was a brick patio, so it's all new. The only thing, I'm going to point out the existing plants so you know what's not my installation. The house had been for sale, and it had been known, like it was marketed as a tropical paradise. So they bought a bunch of cheap plants and put them in the ground along with silk plants and plants in pots. When they had a drought while the house was for sale, and then they moved and took the pots and the silk plants, and I was left without a tropical garden. So I went and I did one in the back because we didn't know if we'd be here even a year. And then the next year I did this front part. So this is a little over 2 years old. So it was started I bought the plants, but I didn't put them in the ground until March or so 2 years ago. And existing plants, the foxtail fern, and of course the Chinese tallow, the variegated liriope, you see that ground in that border. None of the bushes, the heavenly bamboo back there in the far back. And these hibiscus are the survivors, where they just bought zone 10 plants and stuffed them in the ground. And the 18-degree freeze right after we moved in knocked out most of them. But the survivors are still standing today. I didn't pull them out. And everything else is new. Oh, I'm sorry, these silly pygmy palms I would never plant on purpose, but they're the survivors too. I did protect them a little. And before the brick patio came out, I had planted some crinums, but I had moved them since. You see the crinums, but they weren't there. And there was a big tree here, but they did some sewage work and cut it down, which seemed bad until you'll see the video of Hurricane Harvey. I took one right as it started, or during the eye of the hurricane, I forget which, and everything drained beautifully. So I'll trade a tree for a house. And so everything's new. So that garden with the palm trees was grass. It's 2 years old. The triangle had the existing shell ginger you see in the back, and one of them's I'll show the blooms next video, and the border, including I'm on my 3rd generation of Dusty Miller, buying it and planting it. It's the only bedding plant I mess with. It's a perennial, but not very. And a couple of the rose bushes. The rest of those were added. So this is a western exposure, and so you can see those plants. I mean, it really comes straight across. In the winter, it'll be over in the north over here, and in the summer, it goes across over at City Hall. So these are plants that can tolerate being blasted by sun in the afternoon but shaded in the morning. The closer they are to the street, the more like full sun they get. Okay. This was the last bed to go in, actually 1 year old, a little over 1 year old, but I had bought the giant agave and kept it in the garage the winter before. And it was nowhere, so I'll let you take a look at this. So this is where I go over the property line. I'll show a few flowers. I can't resist something unusual. I put in some Hawaiian heliconia, and the most hardy of them, after now 2 mild winters, bloomed. And so I'll show that to you real quick. And everything's an attempted balance between landscaping principles, available soil, and what's on sale. Although some plants were ordered. I guess the important thing is all these giant plants you see, like the bamboo, all of it, trees, the whole thing, it all either came through the mail or in my cute little Kia Soul that I love. Okay, so I want to go clockwise around the house, so I want to take you on a tour. And right now the only irrigation I have is a drip system I put in. Not loving it. And let me let you enjoy this. In fact, I'm gonna flip the camera. Please don't get dizzy. So this cactus is taller than I am. Started out 3 petals. Okay. Oh, sorry. I will pan slow. I was not trying for optimal light, just anything that wasn't sun, which makes a glary mess. If you're really curious, you can email me, and I have kept documents on everything that's in every bed. Also, its Linnaean name and its common name and what zone it is. So you'll be able to figure out the beds, and you can actually see specifically what's where. Okay. I thought I'd spare you the mechanics of going through the gate. This bed has a theme which is pinks and pastels, and that ft.² tree actually blooms pink, but as luck would have it, it isn't blooming yet. I'll just let you enjoy I tried to get all the leaf sizes playing off each other. This is a devilishly hard bed to plant because the sun in the winter and part of the summer is behind the house and it's over. Then suddenly it blasts the whole place for a while with full day sun. Then midsummer it drops behind the back fence, and again parts of the garden don't get any sunlight, parts that are right on the fence. So it takes a tough plant to put up with all this. Okay, I'm going to flip you back around. And the queen palms were there. I'll tell you the things that are original. The queen palms, but there were like 4. Now there's 2. This beautiful silk floss tree that has punctured my elbow all the way down to the joint capsule when I fell against it. Joint capsule when I fell against it. Those cat palms, believe it or not, made it through 2 serious deep freezes and all that cast iron plant because it's cast iron. And these very few of the pygmy date palms made it through the freezes, and the sago palms, all but one, that died actually of a fungus. The rest of this is new, including all the vines, although they look like they've been here forever. And the few surviving hibiscuses. And the queen palm, a lady palm, I'll talk about plants later, but it was original, but it got wiped out in one of the freezes. Okay, a close-up of these horrible, not a plant to fall on. Okay, and the pots they left for me, which was very nice. Of course, I constantly refill them, and the asparagus fern. Heavenly bamboo, those are original. Okay. I just remember that, like, everything, even that tall tree, came home in my kissel. These will get much bigger as the season goes on, but I think they're pretty. This bed is all fragile, meaning it will be wiped out if I'm ever not here to protect it during a freeze, and it'll just get replanted. I did not put those pygmy date palms in, but I can't bear to pull anything out. Likewise, these cat palms that you see right there, they're original. And the wall, the creeping fig that covers the wall, and the few surviving hibiscuses. Oh, my plant nursery. I don't have any place to put things where one doesn't see them. The smell is heavenly right now. Between the Confederate jasmine, the two kinds of gardenias, night blooming jasmine, and Arabian jasmine in about 4 places. It smells wonderful right now. Okay. Another original palm. Original roses, they hated it. That's why there's camellias. If the roses hated it, I knew the camellias would love it. But of course, they're done blooming, long finished. Okay, original bird of paradise. And original pine trees. Just the hibiscus is original. Original petunia that self-seeds everywhere. Okay, so this was the first bed that I did. I'm going to go up by the door. Most of our windows, each window looks out on a garden, and it's a different garden. But many of them look out on this garden. So when we thought we'd be here a year, I just wanted to make this back into the tropical garden that it had been. That was all my goal was. I didn't even know much about these types of plants, but I had free time to learn. And that's what I like doing, is like a steep learning curve, learning all about something, doing it, and then moving on to something else. So this stuff is 3 years old now, 3.5 years old, a lot of it. I'm trying to see. The birds of paradise are original. And way in the back, you'll see a grassy looking thing in the middle, kind of in the middle. That's a African iris, and it's original. The other one you saw, I moved. And these, what do they call them? Mexican, I'm drawing a blank. Butterfly bushes, but not the buddleia. They're original, but they froze back to where we thought they were dead, but they've come back. There's a small leafed one that I let grow tall, and a big leafed one that I keep short. My fountain that I made. So we're going to move inside just for fun. There's an original plant. Okay. And I might be talking fast again. I apologize. I do that. I could not even understand myself in the other video. But now I have no weather excuse. You know, not much purpose in it. This will be single tape because I don't want to teach myself video editing. My hands hurt, and I don't want to sit there mousing away. I'm writing a book too. That's my new thing. So this was going to be the year I dropped out of write and garden. So I'm doing both. Before, I think the gardening was a way of putting off the writing. That can is original. It's very old style. Okay. How to get you out of here. Of course, all these paths, these are the bricks that were in front of the house before. I just needed something to do with them and a way to stop trampling and ruining my grass. Oh, that whole triangle's new, of course. Now let you look back. A bench so that I can get off my poor burning feet and enjoy my garden. And I do. I actually sit on that because of the pillows. Okay, really only the edging is original. There. Another table for enjoying. Okay, so that was my goal for the first year. And then I bought a hammock, but it was a mess. Squirrel. And then I bought that swing. And back here was just, this garage wall had never even been painted, so it was unpainted hardy plank. And those cast iron plants in the far corner, these right here, not the ones you see over by the tree, that was all that was here. Except there was some shell ginger coming up between the cast iron plants in the corner, which I got rid of because my gardens are themed. So this garden's themed in hot oranges and scarlets, and that's why I did pastels in the back. And this garden is very lowlands tropical, with lots of broadleaf plants. I made the rest of the garden, the beds that you saw, no canna zone, because I was tempted, but then everything would have been homogeneous. So no elephant ears, no canna. Well, there's elephant ears in the delicate bed, but I tried to make the bed you saw that had along from behind the house, it still has colored hibiscus, but otherwise it's a white bed. Every flower is white on those patios and in that bed. Pastels behind the house, and much more of a highland tropics. And then this is more of a lowland tropics. And if you've traveled or even watched The Bachelor, you'll recognize this garden because I was just trying to reproduce all the gardens I've seen. Both, they're very similar in Asia and South America and Central America. They use the same plants. The species have spread, the ornamental species have spread all over the world. Okay. I'm trying very hard not to explain individual plants. So that bed was not even there with the bricks. I mean, none of this was there. And I didn't really want to do it until I bought that swing and then realized I didn't want to look at it. So I put it back here so I could look at my neighbor's beautiful garden. She's a master gardener. See, everything will come into bloom, but isn't yet, or it's finished. Okay. So let me show you Anne's garden. It's beautiful. And I was just going to sit on my bench and look at her garden. And then I started gardening. So that first summer, I went ahead and did all this. And so this stuff is all 3.5 years old. Except for this tree, which this house was brown. And we didn't know what was going to happen, which is why I put this bamboo here 3 years ago. And a guy bought it and painted it white and cleared out all their trees. And so I needed a quick growing tree to hide his brand new skylight. So anyway, this has evolved. It was prettier with the dark brown paint on that house, but it looked more Japanese. So we have to go up close before it looks Japanese now. There. Or Asian, generic Asian, I think. Huh? Okay. So this is also another tricky area. This grass was growing well. This is my fault. I could explain sometime. But it can get full-on sun straight up. It's clear straight above me. But in the winter, the sun travels more or less behind that house, that white painted house. In the summer, it switches sides completely and burns from the other side. And it comes in every afternoon over the garage and blasts a minority of these plants. So it's a tricky bed. But it gets some eastern light, some western light, some straight overhead burning midday light, and only really at the worst times of the year. So these are 2 years old only. They've made it through only the 32-degree freezes. They would not make it through a deep freeze, not even with covering. A lot of the other plants are hardy. I did this with, I tried everywhere. You'll see, in general, I mix zone 8 plants with zone 9, and I try to keep 10 to a minimum or in pots, so that if you have 2 nice years in a row, like we've had, I'm going to sit still here. Here's something interesting, mildly interesting. If we have 2 nice years in a row, then I do have to prune a lot to keep the robust tropical plants from overwhelming the slower growing zone 8s. But if it freezes and we're not here, having rented the house or just on vacation, it will kill the 10s and some of the 9s, but the zone 8s will have a field day. And so there'll always be something here to work with. There'll never not be a garden, except in selected spots, like the one that you're looking at just right here. We'll just plant something else. Okay. So I think that's actually long enough. And I just couldn't resist saying 30, so that I could say 360 degrees. I've thrown spare plants back here, and they grow. I'm going to step back, let you see how little light this gets. It's good enough for certain tropical plants that are very determined. Some of these plants would also like to grow in literally full sun, but they can't have it. Okay, so I hope you saw enough of everything. Thanks for joining me on this tour, and the slow tour will come after.